Today I will tell you a dreadful story that once happened to my soulmate Jack, who is unfortunately not with me either. Frankly speaking, I'm definitely not the sort of ones who firmly believes in mystery or similar to this. Being a person with a cool head and strong mind disputed the fact or believing in some unusual or even mysterious events, the cause of which cannot be explained. I hadn't assumed that something terrible would happen one day, although we're greatly mistaken. These 3 days changed my perception of the whole world and everything around. The 2nd of July, 7 p.m., our last evening. Jack invited me to